you tell the people watching what you do for a business?
I am a freelance commercial manager for non-league football clubs. So in effect, a commercial manager for football clubs that don't necessarily have the budget to be able to take on commercial representation full time.
Boom. I'll tell you what, you've been practicing. That's fantastic. So, because obviously with what we've just gone through, the pandemic, a lot of non-league and professional league have been affected by a massive fall in revenue. So you're almost like a knight in shining armor. So I mean, what inspired you to start the business? I know previous to that you were you had a recruitment business, and I think you did a little bit of agency.
Yeah,
I
previously I was a sales exec for Preston North End some time ago.
Oh, wow.
And that's how I sort of learned the fundamentals from the commercial side and how it worked within football. Preston at the time had just been relegated out of the Championship, Tier 2. They'd gone into League 1, and it was up to me and maybe took a couple around me to fill the commercial void in terms of revenue, what we were going to lose from the Championship going into League 1. Sadly, that season, and I feel we were very strong off the pitch in terms of commercial and hospitality. Unfortunately, we weren't particularly good on the pitch. Preston we didn't go up that season, and fundamentally there were redundancies made right across the football club, right the way through sort of the youth coaching ranks. Community, commercial, sadly, and I was one of them. I moved on to Port Vale on a short-term contract. Port Vale, the following season, had fallen into administration, and that's where I sort of realised that I could become a freelancer within the football sector from a commercial point of view, because naturally, obviously, falling into administration, they weren't in a position to be taking on full-time staff. So I went in on a commission-only basis. And then I just sort of got a eureka moment, which I've only recently really just followed up, where I thought, you know what, from a commercial point of view, commercial revenue would be much more valuable further down the football pyramid, i.e. non-league football, where they haven't got the budget to be taking on full-time staff, but revenue is needed probably all the more, and yet the infrastructure is still there to be doing it. You know, they've often got great stadia, hospitality, commercial areas. They've got very strong social media followings, which I can lead on to later. And non-league football clubs are there to be reached out to in terms of their community. It's just nobody there that does it within that football club. It's often just volunteers and maybe an overworked club secretary. So that's where I really found a niche to become a freelancer as a commercial manager within non-league football.
Fantastic. And I mean, you're right. I mean, a lot of these non-league clubs, they have huge followings. So tapping into that local community, making sure that, I suppose it's almost saying, look, we can support your club, support the businesses who support the club, and it becomes this kind of, I suppose, virtual circle. Because I'm assuming you make a good use of the social media channels for the
Well,
clubs.
I was going to say, I mean, that's something that I would even recommend to some of the businesses that follow you, Nigel, on your page. Social media followings within non-league football are often an untapped resource, because I'll give you an example for maybe like a club such as Sutton Coldfield Town, who are, playing 8th tier football in England, but yet they'll have a fan base in and around them of huge clubs, Aston Villa, Wolverhampton Wanderers, West Brom, Walsall. And these fans will all have a passive interest in a club, a local club, like Sutton Coldfield Town. So there you've got a club in the 8th tier of English football with a social media following of 10,000 plus. Yeah. Well, an advertising campaign to 10,000 people within a non-league football club, it's valuable commercial revenue to them, and yet you're using, a great hub of social media audience for not an awful lot of money.
Exactly, mate. Fantastic. And like I say, I mean, you're inspirational, mate. And I knew you'd be all right when the pandemic hit. I thought he'll be fine. He'll find something else, because that's just how you roll.
It's been tough, and there's been a lot of media coverage that says that revenue is going to find its way from the top flight and filter through to non-league, and it hasn't really happened. It was never, not anywhere near what it should have done. It's all talk, isn't it? Clubs have to rely on alternative resources, and this is one of them.
Yeah. So obviously, I'm assuming there's been lots of challenges. Tell us about some of the challenges that you've had to overcome during, the last 18 months.
Well, this is it. The pandemic being the biggest one. Companies that would often do something community-led and look to engage their brand with a non-league football club, and yet they simply can't and won't do it because you want to keep hold of your revenue, don't you? You don't know how long it was going to last. It's still going on. It's only now that fans are actually going to be allowed back into stadia this coming August. So that's been pretty much the biggest real area where we've struggled to, as a business, and other businesses has as well. Commercial advertising revenue is a key element of commercial revenue within a football club, and when companies don't necessarily know whether they're going to be around in a year or so, that's not revenue that they're going to spend.
Of course. We've had a comment coming from Joseph Betts. Thank you, Joseph. Josie says, as an insurance broker, we ran a couple of schemes with local rugby clubs to get some money in using the commission earned from local business insurance policies. Love to try and run this at a bigger level if you're interested. Cost the club nothing. So I think Joseph wants to connect with you, Darren. So make sure you put all your links and everything in the comments. So in terms of, obviously, it's a fairly new business for you. How challenging was it to kind of get your foot in the door with some of these clubs?
I tend to find that non-league football clubs were a lot more open to it than what I actually thought they would. Obviously, some of them are a glass half empty, glass half full, only basis. Some of them aren't that particularly open to be relinquishing a portion of revenue. But then others will say, well, do you know what? It was revenue that we probably wouldn't have generated. So we're more than happy to have somebody that comes in on a freelance basis. We'll hand the commercial aspect over to you. And we'll run to a budget. And the ones that have done that, I feel like they've really reaped the rewards.
Fantastic. Because, you can either get 100% of nothing.
That's it.
Or 80% of something, which is better than nothing.
That's exactly it. And that's the meeting that I have with them. And I was quite surprised how many would say, no, I'm sorry, we're just not going to relinquish that sort of revenue. But, if you really look back at the way you've run the club over the last 5 years, would you have really generated that, putting your commercial, portion of the club into the hands of a volunteer or a club secretary that is, fundamentally.
Well, it's not their thing, is it? It's not their speciality, and
exactly. It is an element of sales and knocking on doors and taking the club to the community. And, it is difficult, and it's time consuming as well. And, people that have got links with non-league football clubs that have gone in, who have got full-time jobs elsewhere, really do realise very quickly that it is going to absorb an awful lot of time.
Exactly. So, okay. So this is my favourite question, actually, Mrs. Darren. Tell us one thing about you but not many people know about.
Something that, blimey, that they wouldn't know about. I have had my agent's license, my football agent's license, just prior to moving into the commercial part of the game. I did have my license. I haven't quite relinquished it yet. However, footballers frustrate me. I love the game, absolutely love the game. And I love being part of the commercial element of the game and really seeing these clubs flourish. The playing aspect and looking after footballers is what the perception of a football agent is, and what it actually really is are two very different things, but that's another conversation for another podcast, I think.
Yeah, I imagine you've had to have some cooking lessons so that you can help people.
I tell you, honest to goodness, the egos on some of these boys, you wouldn't believe it.
Well, I read recently, actually, in the one of the papers, that one of the famous stars of our time, who's appeared on lots of reality TV and sung in groups, wasn't even able to cook baked beans because they were so used to like not doing anything themselves. It was like, wow, what a life! It's a fantastic life. Is it? Oh, brilliant. What 3 bits of advice would you give somebody who wanted to start a business right now, Darren?
What advice I'd give them? I'd tell them to believe in themselves, because that's where it comes first and foremost. Always have a clear path, a clear business plan, and make sure that you're frequently looking at that plan and making sure that you're on target. If it needs to be diversified somewhat, but always have a clear plan. And the third is, I would say, just, do you know what? Don't let anybody tell you that it can't happen, because if you truly believe in yourself, it will always. And you know that yourself, Nigel.
Yeah. Boom.
Because
I love that.
This, working. I would say to people, I think there's a market in non-league football, and I said this to a few people that I'd worked with within football clubs elsewhere of commercial. Say, do you know what? It's just not there. They don't get the attendances. I don't think there's going to be enough for you to make that happen. But like we've discussed, the social media followings and everything that goes with it, trust me, there is a market for businesses to really thrive in getting involved with their local.
Well, I suppose the way of looking at it is, if you was to go business networking, for argument's sake, your product might not necessarily be for the person in the room, but you don't know who they know, and that goes so much deeper. I love passing on referrals, because it means that every person you come into contact with, potentially you can help them move forward just by passing their details, their name, their business model on to somebody else and say, hey, speak to these guys. And well done, mate. Well done. I mean, obviously, there's only you at the moment, so I imagine, there's how many non-league clubs are there who could benefit from using your services? There must be thousands.
Well, that's it. You're looking at part-time football starts really from tier 5. There isn't many in tier 5 that would be part-time, but certainly tier 6, which is the Vanarama leagues, north and south. Everything from tier 7 onwards, you're talking part-time. And they are all looking for various initiatives on how they can develop on their commercial revenue. And I have to say, some of these non-league football clubs have got fantastic stadia, with really good, lounges, conference, hospitality, function rooms, and go and embrace it. And if you're in a position where you can entertain clients in doing it, do it. I'm working with a club at the moment, Sheffield Football Club. Sheffield Football Club are the world's first football club. And it's a great avenue that clients love to get involved with the club. And there are clients out there that I'm speaking to that have said, you know what, Sheffield Wednesday and Sheffield United cost an absolute fortune. We're going to get involved. It's tier 8 of the English football pyramid, but we'll take clients along. We'll use the lounge, and we'll really embrace this football club. And they really have got on board with it. And again, they've flourished.
And I suppose now we're coming out of crazy time. A lot of people are going to be looking for hospitality. A lot of the venues with restrictions, whatever, there's going to be like shortage of dates, whatever. So it makes sense now that people are made aware that, look, locally, you've probably got facilities at one of your local football clubs, non-league, which can cater for your party or cater for your business meeting, or, do that local exhibition for the area where we bring a lot of other businesses along and we all network with each other. And fantastic, mate. Absolutely brilliant.
Thank you very much. That's it. I would say, really embrace it. I think you'll be pleasantly surprised, most people around the country, just how high the level of football stadia is within non-league in this country. Certainly the best in Europe.
Brilliant, brilliant. So is there anything that the people watching can do to help you right now, mate?
If you are interested in getting involved with if you've come away thinking, do you know what, I've got the club X amount, I'm down the road, I've never really embraced them, I don't know much about them, and I'd like to find out a little bit more, I will take your business to that club and feel that, I can really look to get you a cracking commercial deal, whether it be passive advertising on the pitch side, perhaps advertising the match day programme, corporate function room facilities and anything that you might want to use from a client entertaining point of view. So yeah, by all means, get in touch and I'll be more than happy to help.
Fantastic, mate. Well, please, when we finish, if you could make sure you drop all of your links in the comments so that people like Joseph can get in touch with you and connect and see what you can do together. But Darren, thank you so much for joining us today. It's been an absolute pleasure, mate. I know when I asked you, you were kind of like, I ain't sure about that, mate. I told you it'd be all right. It'll be all right on the night. People watching, thank you very much. If you're watching this on replay, please do hashtag replay. I know I've been promising a present all year. I'm still going to honestly, just got to get round to just doing it, taking action, as Darren says. Watch this space. So thank you for joining us, people. Darren, don't go anywhere. We'll have a little debrief on the other side.